Welcome to the Childcare Director's Chair, the podcast for bold educators who are ready to lead, grow, and shake things up in early childhood education. Whether you are a teacher eyeing that lead role, a lead stepping into leadership, or a center owner dreaming big, this is your space to grow with purpose and leave your mark. Hosted by heart-centered leadership coach Erica Saccoccio, each episode brings you real talk, actionable tools, and a contagious laugh or two, all designed to help you step into your next level with confidence. So pour your coffee, pop in those earbuds, and take your seat, because your leadership journey starts right now in the Childcare Director's Chair.
The strongest leaders I've ever worked with have one thing in common, and that's they talk less. Now, that doesn't mean that they're quiet. It doesn't mean they're disengaged, and it definitely doesn't mean they aren't communicating. In fact, some of the most influential leaders I've met can walk into a room, say 3 sentences, and completely change the direction of the conversation. Meanwhile, other leaders talk for 10 minutes and somehow leave everyone more confused than when they started. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because one of the biggest communication traps childcare leaders fall into is believing that more explanation creates more understanding. But most of the time, the opposite is true. The more we explain, the less clear we become. The more details that we add, the more our message gets buried. The more we justify ourselves, the less confidence we sound. And before everyone sends me a message saying, "But Erica, I believe in transparency," let me be clear. This isn't about withholding information, and it isn't about being secretive. This isn't about becoming one of those leaders who gives one-word answers and leaves everyone guessing. This is about learning the difference between communication and justification, because they are not the same thing. And here's something I noticed over the years of leading teams. Most directors don't over-explain because they lack the knowledge. They over-explain because they care. They care about relationships. They care about morale. They care about understanding. They care about being fair. The problem is that caring can sometimes turn into convincing. And the moment that you start trying to convince everyone that your decision is reasonable, that it's logical, it's fair, and it's necessary, you've shifted from leading to defending. And I've been there. I think a perfect example is staff uniforms. I don't know how many ways I have explained to my team how important it is for me, my brand, what I believe in, and them coming in their staff uniforms. But yet, we're always having conversations. Well, what about in the summer? What about on National Hershey Day? What about on, graduation day? What about all these particular days that we want to add something in? Now, listen, I'm as fun can be. I truly am. But over-explaining why it helps you look professional, why it shows cohesiveness between the team, why it shows when the state worker walks in, they don't have to guess who works there, or particularly at pickup time, when someone comes to pick up a child for the first time and there are parents in the room, and if you're dressed in regular clothing, they don't know who the teacher is and who isn't, right? Over-explaining. You have to stop doing that. And I could probably come up with 20 examples where I have over-explained in my life. And it's exhausting. Let me show you what it looks like. When a leader says, "We're moving lunch breaks 15 minutes earlier," make it simple, make it clear, easy to understand. But then the discomfort kicks in. And suddenly the leader adds, "Well, the reason we're doing this is because enrollment is changing and staffing has been challenging. And we've looked at several other options, and I've talked with administration, and we're trying to support everyone, and we know change is hard, and hopefully this helps." What just happened? The decision didn't become clearer. It actually became weaker because the leader stopped communicating and started seeking permission. And the truth is, the higher you grow as a leader, the less often you're going to receive universal agreement. Yeah, guys, that's true. So when you were the assistant director, you probably were a little more friendly with the team. There's probably a little bit more communication on things that maybe weren't directly connected to work. And then it changes a little bit more when you become a director, and it changes a whole heck of a lot when you become the owner. And it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because leadership requires decisions, and decisions create opinions. And your job isn't to eliminate every opinion. Your job is to communicate with enough clarity that people understand the direction. And one of the greatest communication lessons I've ever learned was this: not every decision requires a defense attorney. Sometimes it just requires a leader. Now, that doesn't mean we ignore concerns, and it doesn't mean we dismiss questions, and it doesn't mean we stop listening. It means we stop assuming that every decision needs a 20-minute explanation before it can be accepted. The strongest communicators understand something most leaders miss. People trust clarity, not complexity. And when your message is clear, people know where they stand. When your message is overlooked with explanations, they start to look for what you're worried about. And that's why over-explaining often has the opposite effect on what we intend. We're trying to build trust. We're actually unveiling uncertainty. So how do we stop? The first step is learning to separate information from reassurance. Many leaders aren't explaining information, they're offering reassurance. They're hoping if they explain enough, nobody will get upset and nobody will disagree and nobody will question the decision. But leadership doesn't work that way. People can understand a decision and still dislike it, and that's okay. The second step is shortening your communication by 50%. Yep, seriously. Take your next staff email, write it, cut it in half. Then take your next meeting, update it, prepare it, cut it in half. Most leaders would be shocked by how much unnecessary language that they're carrying. And the final step is start communicating with confidence. No other explanation, not another disclaimer, not another apology. Communicate the message. Answer the question, share the direction, and stop. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a leader can do and can say is enough. And enough doesn't require a paragraph. It requires the clarity. And that's the challenge I'm going to leave you with this week. Pay attention to how often you're over-communicating to inform versus communicating to justify. One builds leadership presence and the other one slowly erodes it. The goal isn't to say less. The goal is to make every word count. Because leadership communication isn't measured by how much you say. It's measured how clearly people understand what matters most. And that's where real influence begins. Thank you again for tuning into the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. If you want to learn more about confidence, using your voice, hit us up in the inbox on Instagram or Facebook. We have a few options and a few downloads that we can share with you. So looking forward to meeting you there. Have a great day.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Childcare Director's Chair, where we believe leaders aren't born, they're grown. If something sparked for you today, share it, shout it out, or pass it along to the next bold changemaker in childcare. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with Erica Saccoccio for more real talk leadership tools and a whole lot of inspiration. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with fire, and always remember, the chair is yours. Now own it.